Hello everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new album by AFI. This is Silver Bleeds the Black Sun, their first album since Bodies back in 2021. And the direction that AFI has gone has definitely been cemented to something new. We're not going to see the early, older classic sound of AFI as they are too into this newer, guess you could say experimental gothic rock sound that is quite different and more reminiscent of an 80s sound rather than what they normally do. The band got big through the Miss Murder single from the December Underground record, which was quite a big monumental bit of success for them, and their other album, Sing the Sorrow, as well, also had a lot of attention going into that as well. Now, AFI has sort of been kind of going up and down. Some of the earlier stuff isn't great, some of the later stuff isn't, but I was curious about this new one, and I remember checking out Behind the Clock, and I quite like that. The Cure influence, the Bauhaus kind of mix to it. I honestly like what they've been doing with that single. And Holy Visions, I don't know if I talked about that one, but that one was quite good as well. But as I dived into the record to give it a full listen, I must say I don't think it really held up to the hype of it. There's so many muddled, weird ideas that just doesn't sound like it works, and it doesn't. For example, the Bird of Prey, the first song, it just sounds like you have two songs playing at once, and I know this can work as it does create a lot of a groove to make them fit as one whole instrumentation, but it doesn't really sound great. To me, numerous times I was playing it, I was actually convinced that I had a YouTube tab running as I was listening to this, and it just didn't feel right. So I had to assess and realize that that's not the case. That's the song, and that kind of already was a bit of a weak start with Bird of Prey. But the two singles we had were pretty nice, and they were the next tracks. But it didn't really get much better from there on forward. AFI does dabble very much into the Cure sort of brand sound. This feels like pornography era Cure to a T, and when you go into deeper into the record, it seems to structure a lot of the songs in a very similar way. You can get these upbeat kind of 80s synths that still escalates to a more gothic synth wave, rock wave sound, and it doesn't really do anything original that we haven't heard already. I feel like they had the idea of the album with some of these songs, and they just decided to take the formula of what made it work and just rinse and repeat, and that's kind of where a lot of the charm disappeared. I feel like as a concept this could have been really good if it had the right execution, and I just personally think they needed to put a little bit more of their own unique sound into it, because while I do enjoy these singles, they feel hardly like an AFI track. Like, you can't really imagine yourself going, oh, I like AFI, Miss Murder, nah, Behind the Clock, and it isn't going to be like a top tier song. None of it is, as they don't really bring anything new to the table. They just kind of do an impression of something we've heard before, albeit just marginally weaker and less consistent. But it's weird that they've gone from this post-hardcore pop-punk sound to this. I mean, I guess some bands do want to change, but if you're going to change again, try something that does feel like you, because it just doesn't really have anything that relates to AFI. And with the muddy production, some weird mixing choices, and the fact that a lot of the songs towards the second half just feel like they repeat the same idea, it doesn't really create anything that interesting of a concept to this record. Blasphemy in Excess is just generally a song that kind of made me realise that this is more of a slow burner track that tries to create as moody of an environment as possible. And then we get to Spear of Truth, and this is around the point where I'm like, okay, I think I've heard what I needed to. But obviously we had 5 more tracks, so I had to go through that as well. Yeah, I feel like it's the album with a lot of potential, but the execution just kind of ruins it a bit, and it's a shame too, because with this concept, this could have been an amazing AFI album, but as of where it stands, I appreciate what they're doing, but it's very much a mixed bag where you will get some good ideas and then everything else is just, yeah. I kind of wish, again, as I said, they had more of their own sound, because I generally do enjoy December Underground and think it's an amazing post-hardcore record, and so is Sing the Sorrow as well. Two amazing albums, but we don't really have that anymore, and I don't think AFI is going to bother trying to do that sound, so unless something tells them otherwise to return to it, I feel like AFI is just kind of stuck in this newer Cure phase, and hopefully it does end, because I don't imagine this working in the long run. But that's all I have to say. I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5. It's not bad at all whatsoever. It's not a terribly made record. It just has some really weird bits and bobs when it comes to the production and mixing, and it's just honestly lacking in anything that makes this stand out, to be honest. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you next video.